What is going down, beautiful people? I'm Eugenia.
And I'm Marlene.
And today we're going to be talking about the Freedom Summer Project and the Voting Acts of 1965. So, the 1964 Freedom Summer Project was intended to cause the nation to notice the rough persecutions that Mississippi blacks experienced. They attempted to use their rights and they attempted to build up a crucial opportunity development stage that could be continued after Mississippi students activists left.
So you might be wondering, what is the Freedom Summer Project? Well, the Summer Project was a voter registration drive that helped expand the amount of black voters in Mississippi. It was also known as the Mississippi Summer Project.
More than 700, for the most part, white volunteers joined African Americans in Mississippi to battle against discrimination and segregation together because they wanted to do what was right for the nation.
There were many organizations that helped with the movement. Organizations such as the Congress of Racial Equality, which was set as a peaceful way to deal with fighting racial prejudice.
Along with the Congress of Racial Inequality, there was another organization called the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. It was a civil rights group that was shaped to give more youthful blacks a voice to a greater degree in the equality development. The committee also tried to arrange and help direct activity difficulties with segregation. Both of these organizations impacted the movement tremendously in the 1960s.
Now that we've talked about what the Freedom Summer Project actually is and what helped the movement, what was the actual cause of the movement? While Jim Crow laws were implemented separating black people and white people in the South, certain activist groups began to bring attention to the discrimination in the area.
This is where the Freedom Riders come in. So, the Freedom Riders were a group of white and black activists in 1961 that pointed out the national negligence of the government law and the brutality used to uphold segregation in the southern United States. They completely shook things up by riding interstate buses in the South with both their black and white members to challenge laws that were implemented for seating discrimination. Here is a picture of participants who got arrested during the protests.
Although there were people that supported the movement, there were also many haters. Mississippi's elected officials was one of the groups opposed to Freedom Summer. Its representatives and senators openly would not comply with government laws. The police extended their power and got weapons, and administrators passed new laws that forbade picketing and leafleting.
Another group that was opposed to the Summer Project were business leaders, and this was business leaders just in general. They punished African Americans who took an interest in Freedom Summer and participated in the protest. They dispossessed home loans on black residents' homes. They terminated people from employment. They restricted customers from shopping in stores. And they also closed food sources for the homeless. Here is a picture of the business leaders that were opposed to the movement.
The last group were the KKK. They were also a big part of the opposition groups. They brought upon brutality on African Americans and civil rights supporters. There were at most 6 murders, 50 beatings, and 400 arrests of supporters that they made.
Now, what were the impacts of Freedom Summer? Americans all around the nation were completely stunned by the murdering of civil rights supporters and the violence that they saw on their TVs. Freedom Summer raised the awareness of African Americans facing difficulties to a huge number of individuals. They acquired the need for change. The Civil Rights of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 passed Congress because legislators finally began to realize these issues during Freedom Summer were completely unacceptable. So this picture is showing the Voting Rights Act of 1965 being implemented as a law.
The Voting Rights Act of 1965 took away boundaries that enabled Black people to vote in the South, prohibiting poll charges and different ways that successfully kept African Americans from casting a vote. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was the most all-inclusive civil rights law at any point authorized by Congress. It contained broad measures to destroy Jim Crow laws and battle racial segregation. These laws were passed because voting rights are human rights.
As a result, conditions changed simply after the Voting Rights Act of 1965 enabled the government to send its authorities into nearby courthouses. Before the finish of 1966, the majority of African Americans in southern states had enlisted to cast a vote. In the years that followed, many were chosen for mayor positions, teacher positions, and head of police positions. Freedom Summer really impacted the nation and gave people new opportunities to strive for.
Even though Freedom Summer didn't work to its full potential, it definitely raised awareness for the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, which ended unequal voting rights and racial segregation in schools and other public places. This picture is the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party in action.
For over 50 years, Mississippi blacks tried to go to the orderly Democratic Party meetings. Every time they tried to attend, they would consistently get denied and were not able to participate. They ended up making the MFDP, which invited both whites and blacks to run for positions for Senate and congressional races.
In conclusion, Freedom Summer had its successes and truly impacted the role race played in the U.S.
Till this day, they are still fighting for their basic human rights every day. Thank you so much for watching.
Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace!